Musical Talk, the UK's independent musical theatre podcast. Hello and welcome to another edition of Musical Talk. I'm Thos and I'm wondering if I should start this episode by addressing global warming. Well, after all, it is an icebreaker. Actually, I don't think I'll bother with that. What we're going to do instead, I think, is probably going to be more fun. Because today I'm talking with an old friend of mine. His name is Stephen Lloyd, and he is a well-known, well-respected and incredibly versatile actor, singer and creator of theatre. And we're going to be touching on all those elements of his career in a conversation in just a minute. Because Stephen's had a most incredible career with a large amount of overlap with the world of musical theatre, but not what you might call the traditional end of musical theatre. We're not talking Les Miserables, we're not talking Stephen Sondheim, but we are talking a tremendously British strain of musical theatre creation. And that includes Ray Davies and his musical Come Dancing from 10 years ago. Ray Davies, of course, being most famous for having been a member of the Kinks, and the musical Reasons to be Cheerful, the jukebox musical, showcasing the life and indeed the politics of Ian Dury, who was a hugely popular punk artist in the late 70s and early 80s, who still has an enormous following today, and who was, and remains in many ways, a truly influential activist for disability rights. But, as I say, Stephen is also a theatre creator in his own right and has a new show on at the King's Head Theatre in Islington this next weekend at the time of broadcast of this episode. That's called VE by Felix O'Brien, and we're going to be talking about that as well because it's all part of Stephen's philosophy about putting music at the heart of drama. Well, I think that's enough introduction. Let's get to the bread and butter of today's episode. But before we do that, let's hear a song from the show VE, which Stephen is directing in Islington. More details of that later in the programme.
Whispering to you, I don't know what you hear. No, it's just an excuse for me to be near. Some things are just so hard to say. My words are all mixed up, they're in the way. And though my head is free from doubt, if I could only get this out. When I'm standing in your love, I'm richer, I'm wiser, under your firmament, alive and inspired, I'm in my element. If I have a choice to make, then the choice is you. I choose you. Emptiness is real. I'm lost and I am searching how to tell you what I feel. Oh, oh, oh. myself in you. I'm richer, I'm wiser, under your firmament, alive and inspired. I'm in my element. If I have a choice to make, then the choice is you. I choose you.
I'm Stephen Lloyd, and my theatre company is Amplified Theatre. We are a company that focuses on merging live music with theatre and performance.
And a lot more besides.
A lot more. All of our work is as accessible as it can be. We make sure that all the plays and all the shows that we put on are accessible for deaf and hard of hearing audiences. So we use DIY projected captions, which makes it accessible. We will not use venues or work in venues, not because they're bad places, but quite simply that venues where wheelchair users can't access the space.
So you have a philosophy, but also you actually live up to it.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, I have a lot of friends who require access, and first and foremost, it's not really fair for me to put a show on and say, well, you can't come.
Yeah.
And I want them to come.
And by extension, any member of the public.
And any,
exactly.
Well, this is it. And you don't,
from the micro is the macro.
Yeah, completely. And just because there are captions on the wall, they're not exclusively for deaf and hard of hearing audiences. They're for anyone that requires the use of them.
But it underpins the philosophy, doesn't it, which is actually theatre is for everyone.
Yes.
And it isn't trammelled in narrow lines, as it can be. Theatre, particularly commercial theatre, can be very small c conservative. It can be.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the commercial imperative, I understand that. But you and I know that theatre should and could and can speak to everyone. Not everything will speak to everybody.
No, of course.
But actually nobody should be excluded from theatre.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think not every project will speak to everyone, and not every project will resonate with people. But it's about making it available. That's what it is. I think that's the difference. It's about making the work available for everyone, whether or not they like it. That's a whole other subject.
Oh, indeed.
But I think that's what it is, and I think or the industry likes to say that theatre is for everyone, but where's the proof?
Yeah, but in that simple sentence, I think you've actually addressed something really important. That actually it doesn't look, it is for everyone, but it doesn't look like it's actually aiming very hard at everyone, because I fall into that I'm a London-based white middle-class man with just enough income to be able to afford at least the theatre occasionally. By which I mean not too badly off, but
of course.
Theatre's so expensive now. I mean, that immediately is a door closer, and then you've got all the actual physical door closers.
Of course.
So it's terrible in that sense, and it could do a lot more, and I hope that it will. But it's not as though you've just landed yesterday with your theatre group, is it? Because you have a long career in performance and theatre in all its forms.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do, including musical theatre, in fact, musical theatre has been a really important part of your career. Yeah. So what I'd like to do, if I may, is sort of explore your sort of career thus far, particularly in relation to musical theatre, because that's where we are here at Musical Talk. But see how that has informed the ethos that you practice, and also of your theatrical group, and the pieces that you put on, because I think there's a golden thread.
Oh, massively.
Through your career to where you are now.
Definitely.
You're not just an actor who turns up, does a job, and goes away again. It's informed your personal philosophy, or so it seems to me. But let's start with early on in your career. I know you've done pantomime, and we will touch on pantomime. But I think, in some senses, in terms of the first big musical, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Ray Davies' Come Dancing. Is that fair?
That's correct. That was my first job outside of drama school.
Oh, was it really?
It was my first professional gig. And I never saw myself going into musicals. Not because I didn't like them, I just didn't think I had that skill set. I mean, we did a musical together when I was 16.
I wasn't going to mention that
16.
Unless you wanted to.
No,
yes,
I'm happy to mention it. So that was it. And
we're old friends.
We are old friends. And because of that, I actually went to audition for musical theatre courses and realised that I wasn't anywhere near as capable as some of the students or some of the applicants for the musical theatre courses. So I went to do a 3-year straight acting course and became a very serious actor and did lots of Chekhov and lots of Shakespeare, and thought that's the route I was going to go down. I was going to be at the Globe shouting my way through Titus Andronicus. But music has always been a huge part of my life. I've always said theatre's my wife and music is my lover.
That's excellent.
But it is, and music has always been such a huge part of me, and just day to day. If I don't listen to music, I get a bit itchy.
It's in your veins, isn't it?
It is, completely. And so it kind of made sense for my first show to be in a musical. But even then, even though it was very much a musical, and it was at Theatre Royal Stratford East,
which is a great actual powerhouse, or it certainly was. It was a great developmental centre, and including musical theatre right up until very recently. Many of us hope it will be again.
Yeah, well, that was it. I mean, before Come Dancing, we had The Big Life, Harder They Come, and it was definitely a venue, one which wasn't too far from home, so it was my local theatre. It just kind of made sense for me to do my first show, or a show, at Stratford East, and in what was a musical. And I remember I had a phone call from, basically the audition came through Philip Headley, who was the artistic director there for...
Who we've interviewed here on Musical Talk. Yes, we know good. Philip, yes.
Well, Philip was AD there for, 20 odd years? I'm going to say maybe 30 years, a long time.
And worked with Joan Littlewood beforehand. I mean,
exactly.
People are thinking, why is my mind remembering Theatre Royal Stratford East? The answer is Joan Littlewood, probably.
Theatre Workshop.
And here in Musical Talk, obviously, Lionel Bart and all the musicals that way.
Yeah, of course. Things ain't what they used to be.
Absolutely, all the way through to...
Oh, What a Lovely War.
Yeah, twang, let us never forget.
Let's never forget.
But even though people would like us to. But, so it's a really important... As I say, theatrical powerhouse. It has been for years, and Philip has been there, was there for yonks, and was the archivist. He was sort of Joan Littlewood's sort of representative on Earth after she wasn't. Yeah,
in the same way Murray Melvin went on to be. So I did, and he just phoned me out of the blue one day and just asked me to come, or said to me he has an audition for me if I'd like to come for this new musical written by Ray Davies of the Kinks, and to come in and to sing 2 songs in my Cockney accent. Governor. He said, do not put any kind of American twang on it, do not try to be musical theatre, just come in and just be you. And I remember going into the Theatre Royal Stratford East in the foyer and just seeing lots of very capable musical theatre graduates all ready to sing for Kerry Michael, the AD at the time. And I thought, I just need to do what I was told, and that was just go in and sing a song. So I went in, I sang Half the World Away by Oasis and Teenage Kicks by The Undertones. And it went really well. And it went so well, I got the job. While working on that job, I met lots of musical theatre performers, but still, I never really felt like I was part of the musical theatre world. Not in a snobby way, I just didn't think I was good enough. I felt like, I could carry a tune and I could act my way through it. But if you put me in Les Mis in about 10 minutes in, I'll be like, right.
But that's very interesting. I mean, I think this deserves unpacking a little bit, because it's interesting that you got that almost directorial advice from the team who were inviting you in.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, you were told don't sing with an American actor. And this is a very interesting thing, I think. But actually, for whatever reason, for somehow the speech marks default, certainly the unthinking default, in musical theatre is that transatlantic twang. Because so much musical theatre we get here is American. However, Ray Davies is a very British songwriter.
British, yeah.
Come Dancing turned out to be a very British musical. It also wasn't a musical in the sense of, a big opening number with jazz hands. Not that all musicals are like that. We know Sondheim teaches us that. So I'm falling into the trap of shorthand and indeed stereotype. But it was tonally British, with a tonally British author about a tonally British cultural experience. It's semi-autobiographical, was it not? As the original song Come Dancing is.
Yeah, of course.
It was about his late sister.
Yeah, I mean, lots of his work is. Lots of his work is, or was, autobiographical.
Yeah.
The album Arthur was entirely about his brother-in-law.
So obviously mine's the family history, doesn't it? So, but the thing I find most fascinating there is that it's so very British, and you had to be reminded, or given advice, to sing in that way, and you were ultimately successful. Because you're an actor singing a song in the way that an actor would, or a real person would in that environment, rather than coming and singing it in the style of, as you said. If it was Les Miserables, we sort of expect singers to sing in a particular kind of way, almost cod operatic, actually. It's not operatic, but it's kind of halfway there. Much more vibrato.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, but also it's slightly ersatz emotion, isn't it? It's that difference between sentiment and sentimentality. It's actually, we're being triggered manipulatively, whereas actually you were asked to sing a song, you would sing a song if you were in the shower or whatever. And I find that absolutely fascinating, and that was a successful approach. I saw Come Dancing.
Yeah.
Saw you in it, and we chatted afterwards. It could not have been more British.
Yeah.
And that's also going to be a thematic thing for other shows that you did later on.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
So, and I've discussed this with people who sing Gilbert and Sullivan. That Gilbert and Sullivan is one of the few areas left in the broader musical theatre world at the moment where you sing in this country with in the British style or with a British accent, rather than sort of twanging it up, for want of a better phrase.
Well, this was it, and I think it was so quintessentially British in every kind of way. You just had to, as you say, just do what you're told, really, and it worked in my favour, I suppose. Yeah.
And would you see yourself really as an actor who sings?
Yes, most definitely, and that's how I've always seen myself. And because of that, I felt, well, actually, I can do this. I can actually go in and sing these songs. You know, some nice little solo-y numbers, which I didn't expect at all. It was in rehearsals. I remember Ray Davies just grabbing hold of my guitar and just playing some stuff and said, "I've written you a song." I was like,
Gosh,
"Oh, okay."
The words that everyone wants to hear from Ray Davies.
I know. I've got the sheet music at home in a little frame. But it's like, yes, unbelievable. I was like, "Oh my God, Ray Davies has written a song. I want you to do this and do this and do this." And it was the exact type of job that I always wanted, but didn't kind of imagine would kind of exist, if that makes sense. Because I knew there's musical theatre and then there's straight acting, but I didn't think there was these sort of musicals where, as you say, it's a musical, but it's not sort of jazz handsy musical. You don't have to be the greatest singer in the world. It's about telling the story.
Yes, isn't it? And it's down to the narrative again. It's always, this is the key on everything. Any piece of drama, and I include musical theatre in the School of Drama here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And all the interim areas. It's if the story is right or the tone of that story is correct, then you've got a story and you're going to be successful. I'm not slagging this off, but I recently saw The Light in the Piazza on its incredibly well-funded appearance in London before it goes on an international tour, I gather. Yeah. Beautiful to look at. The plot leaves a great deal to be desired. Yes, the coffee you've just necked, shall we say, had the froth on the top of that had a greater meaning, in my view.
It's a good coffee.
Other people will disagree, I'm sure. And I thought that about Come Dancing. I thought, in a strange way, we called it a musical because it was a play with lots of music, and it had a score specifically written for it in many cases, many of the songs anyway, as you just explained. But ultimately, we were in this situation whereby it sort of felt like a play that had the trappings of a musical, rather than the musical that sometimes has the trappings of a play, which is where the sort of the songtime area goes. If that makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's why it became so accessible to so many people as well, because it brought in new audiences. I mean, my dad was never massively into. My dad's a big muser, big into his 60s and 70s prog rock.
Likes his music.
Loves his music. Loves his music. And he was never really into the theatre world at all. If I went to the theatre, I'd go with my mum and my nan. And Come Dancing turned him into a lovey. He became an absolute, and has since. He now very much follows what's going on in the theatre world and tells me stuff that I don't know yet, or he tells me stuff that I do know, but
But that's connection, isn't it? And
completely.
Isn't it lovely?
Oh, it's so lovely. And because of that, I sort of went on to do other shows very similar to that, and I wasn't afraid to do them because I felt like, having Come Dancing under my belt, actually I can kind of do this. Don't get me wrong, I've been to a few auditions for big sort of West End musicals and I've gone, nope, I'm way out of my depth here. This show is not great show, but I cannot sing this.
There's no Stephen Slott in it, is there?
No, there's no role for me there, but that's fine. And so Come Dancing was due to go on tour. It was due to go on tour for 6 months.
This is in 2008, I think.
Yeah, so the show we did was 2008. It was due to go on tour January 2010.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that whole year, 2009, we were constantly hearing rumours around Stratford East that it was going on tour, it was doing this. And, it was a wonderful job because I made so many friends in that job. And it was just the idea of us sort of all going away together and doing this show that we all very much loved and very much had a real connection to. It was a wonderful idea. But then literally 2 weeks before rehearsals were due to start, we got a phone call, all from our agents, saying that the show had been pulled. And it was just before Christmas, so a lot of our Christmas presents were actually geared towards, so people had bought us luggage, like holders and things to take on tour to kind of a tour kit. So it was devastating. I remember going to Stratford East. They were teching the panto at the time, and I went to Stratford East, and I just needed to be in the place, the home for that comfort. And Kerry, the director, said, just come and sit in tech. So while they did the tech, I just sat at the back and just felt like this massive hug.
The warm blanket of theatre. Or Doctor Theatre, as I know it's also known.
Completely, and we all felt the same. We were all absolutely gutted. But as the universe would have it, about a week later, I got a phone call from Rob Hyman, who was the musical director on Come Dancing, And he phoned up and said, Paul Syrett, who had written Come Dancing, Paul's written this new musical about Ian Dury and the Blockheads. Would you be keen to come and do a 3-day workshop? And I thought, well, I've got nothing else going on, I might as well. Popped in, did 3 days with Grey Eye Theatre Company, Paul, Rob, Jenny Seeley, who's the artistic director of Grey Eye. And to be honest, it's changed my life.
Goodness, that's quite the claim, isn't it?
Completely changed my life in many, 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 many ways.
And yet, because I think I know how you're going to tell me this, but this is going to tie in where we started in the conversation in some senses, isn't it?
Yeah.
But tell us the story of your involvement with Reasons to be Cheerful.
So, Reasons to be Cheerful...
Which, by the way, I should say, has been a massive success. A massive success since, 2010, something like that?
2010,
and it finished last year, which is that's a hell of a run. Yeah. Same production, essentially.
Same production. Playing the same part, 16-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've done other things in between, by the way, but 16-year-old, I hadn't realised it was... You're a beautiful young man. You've got nothing to worry about.
I'm 33 years old, and my
and a lot of makeup.
There was one line in Reasons to be Cheerful where my character says, "I don't want to go back to sixth form." First time I did it when I was 23, we all just kind of, it was the character's line. And the last time I did it, 2017, I said the line, and everyone in the room just went, Get on a bit, Steve. But
it's such a success, and cult following, and national tour, etc., etc. So I'm preempting, but I just want to say, look, this is a show of some worth, and to be connected with it in its own right is a marvellous thing.
Yeah.
But tell us the story.
So, Reasons to be Cheerful, the Ian Dury inspired musical. I did 3 days at Grey Eye, and it was the first time I'd ever worked with a deaf director, deaf actors, disabled actors.
I think Matt Fraser was connected.
Matt Fraser was the original drummer.
Yeah, we've interviewed him.
Matt is wonderful. His own shows are bonkers.
Indeed they are, yes.
Very X-rated.
But why not?
But why not? He's absolutely fantastic, Matt. And he was our drummer. And I went in, and I thought, what is this? What is going on? Because it was just a room full of people who just... were just very open, Ian Dury's lyrics and punk in general, but Ian Dury especially, is very, it doesn't, I won't say crass is the word, but
raucous.
Raucous. Yes, very raucous, very punk, very
but raucous
anarchy.
But it's also exuberant, or it can
completely,
be.
Yeah.
Punk is a much wider school than what the tabloids would have us believe.
Yes.
Tabloids would have us believe it's all Mohicans, pins through your nose, and essentially destructive lyrics. Yeah. But in fact, actually, like any good surviving movement, it has worth in its own right, but also it's satirical. It's got
very clever,
and it connects with people in a way that other kind of music perhaps doesn't. Yeah. That's how it's been successful ever since. I will just also say that if Ray Davies and the Kinks represents one particular school of melodic 1960s songwriting, then you've got Ian Dury, who represents someone in the mainstream of punk and yet not in the middle of the road of the mainstream of punk, if that makes kind of sense.
Definitely.
But both of those are very, very culturally British. I know punk went all over the world, but it's still a culturally British thing.
Well, this is it. Ian Dury has the song England's Glory, which is literally, a lot of his songs were just lists of things and people and places and movements. And England's Glory is a song made up of lists, or a long list, about England, about what makes England so great.
By the way, I should say, I think England's Glory used to be on the Brighton Main matches.
Oh, really?
It was. It's an old advertising slogan.
Yeah. We had the matches on set.
I
did this 3-day workshop with all these people that just weren't censoring themselves. They didn't censor themselves. They just went, okay, let's embrace this. Let's do this. Let's not shy away from the fact that this means something really rude. Let's explore this.
So it's almost we're not going to tailor what we do for the audience. We're not taking what we do to the audience. We are demanding that the audience comes to us.
Yeah.
But I think that's the very antithesis of the thing we were bemoaning at the beginning about the conservative, small c nature of commercial theatre.
Yeah, this is the complete other end of the spectrum. And it's the first time I worked with access workers and BSL interpreters, and just
British Sign Language.
And my eyes were completely open to this. It was like, I always say, it's like peeking behind the curtain of The Wizard of Oz. But once you've seen behind the curtain, it's hard to sort of go back. So I did 3 days on this job. I thought, well, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. It'd be nice to do that again. And Come Dancing, I had 8 lines. and my God, did I milk them.
Do you know, because I saw you, I would have said you had a lot more than that.
I milked everything I had. And
and the song.
And the song.
Yeah, right.
But now, Reasons to be Cheerful, here I was playing the lead role.
Vinny.
Aren't
you on the poster? Isn't that you driving the car?
It is me driving the car. And so it was not just being in every scene, but also just driving the story and telling the story and being in every song. It was so full on, and it was incredibly moving that they actually trusted me with it, because Jenny had seen me income dancing and said, I like him, let's bring him in to try and do a bit of Vinny. So we did a few more workshops throughout the year, and then complete dream of any actor. At the end of the second or third workshop, Jenny, the director, just gave us all a piece of paper, and on a piece of paper was a list of dates. She said, right, we're going on tour, you've all got a job. I mean, that never happens.
No.
It was absolutely wonderful. But again, even then, we didn't know what the show was going to be. We thought, okay, it's a nice show, it's about Ian Dury,
It's a jukebox musical, essentially.
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
massively. Yeah. And then when we actually got to actual rehearsals, it was just, we had 4 weeks of just exploring and unpicking this incredible play by Paul Sirott with these beautiful characters. And I think that's the thing about Paul's work, and I absolutely adore Paul's work. He brings so much heart into everything he does. Every piece he works on, there's just so much heart there, and he will make you laugh 1 second and then make you cry, but before you've cried too much, he'll make you laugh again. Very sort of John Sullivan-like. Very.
Yes, indeed. Who you also have experience with.
Yes, very. Yeah, and so we did the first version of the show in 2010, and again, we had no idea kind of what the show was or what it was. When we thought we'd do it and that would be it. And then our first night in Ipswich at the new Wolsey, we went on stage, and the plan was for the second or third night we'd work on some kind of musical theatre medley and include a few songs, and we'd work it over the next few days during previews. But that night we didn't have anything, so we said, well, if they want another song, maybe we'll just do one of the songs. We'll just perform one of the songs again. And the crowd they all went absolutely nuts. They went bonkers. They were on their feet. People. Old women screaming, hit me, whilst pelvic thrusting towards the stage.
We should just say this is a lyric from a song.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, not yet. Sorry. But just people just literally almost liberating themselves to just sort of relive this sort of
their youth.
A lot, yeah. And it was it was incredible to see and incredible to feel that energy in the room.
You tapped into something genuine there, I think.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And so that was it. So we scrapped the idea of any kind of medley, and then every night we just treated it like a gig. So we finished the show. Do you want one more? Yeah. Do you want another one? Yeah. And we just did what have become the encores of us doing a number of songs.
Now, did you have a set order, or did you let the audience pick?
No, we had a set order, because one night we did let them pick. They chose Sweet Jean Vincent, which we'd just performed right at the very end of the show.
Oh, right.
And it starts off quite slow. So it sort of brings the energy down a bit. So we used to do Blockheads a lot, which was an incredibly energetic, bonkers number. And the thing is, even in rehearsals, we were trying to sort of choreograph it and choreograph these routines. And the more we went through it, the more we realised, actually, this isn't, as you say, a very sort of your typical musical theatre piece. And it felt really wrong having these sort of choreographed numbers, because the characters just wouldn't do that.
No, it's the exuberance you want, not it's not set in stone in advance. In fact, it is all about finding your own path. And
completely.
That is doing it yourself. And yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not the philosophical underpinning.
Well, there you go. And so a lot of it was us literally just jumping around the stage.
Well, some of the publicity photographs illustrate that. I mean, I can think of. You also, by the way, seem to have a lot of costume changes. You seem to. I hope you won't mind me saying that I'm going to pay you the compliment about your physicality. There's something about the way you look that allows you to look like a rocker or a mod or a punk. You seem to actually fit into all that kind of musical from the 60s and 70s and into the 80s. You fit into that and look. But there's a publicity photograph of you all in black, and then later on all in white, wearing what looks to me like a very heavy woolen sweater in white, but wearing a Union Jack T-shirt with a kind of a makeup over the eye and a kind of electrical bolt. Yeah, rather Bowie-esque. Well, it was, and it was very. It's funny actually, because I was on the second tour. I was filming Rock and Chips, John Sullivan's Rock and Chips. This is your television exposure, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I was playing a mod in that. So during the day I was a mod, and in the evening I was a punk.
Well, it's nice to show your range.
I know, it was wonderful. So during the day my hair was down. In the evening it was up. But it was just, and on that tour we tapped into something, and we tapped into just this story, these characters. And it's funny because every year that we did it, it felt like the show was needed more and more. Yeah.
Well,
politically as well.
Well, I think this is really important. I'd like to say, when you talk about Ian Dury, or when one talks about Ian Dury, you're not just talking about Ian Dury, the singer-songwriter, and the performer. You're talking about a philosophical position, because Ian Dury is no longer with us, but he was, in and through his music, an activist for people with disability.
Yeah.
And let us not forget, he wrote a song called Spasticus Autisticus, which has become anthemic, I think, in some senses.
Most definitely.
And it is all about, let us all be part of a full society without doors or barriers. I mean, I'm boiling it down to.
That's what it is.
It makes it sound very basic there, but actually that is such an important thing, particularly for people who historically have been perhaps sidelined.
Yeah.
And then we had the amazing epiphany right in the middle, right at the beginning of your run. You started in 2010. 2012, we got the Olympics and Paralympics.
Yeah.
And indeed, am I not right in thinking that the show was featured in the closing ceremony?
The opening.
It was the opening.
It was the opening.
One of the big ones.
One of the big ones. We did. Because Jenny, the director of Reasons to be Cheerful, directed the Paralympic opening ceremony. So she just got all of her mates in, which was fantastic. She got all of us to come and perform.
So you performed at the Paralympics?
I did indeed.
Isn't that amazing? With millions and millions of people watching it.
It was the most surreal, incredible experience.
I remember myself.
It was like we weren't allowed to tell anyone. Literally not allowed to tell anyone. So the second we came off stage, everyone's phones were just buzzing. Literally, like, oh my God, what was that? And we did. We performed Spasticus Autisticus for the Queen and the world. Channel 4.
Who was televising it?
Televised it because the BBC actually banned Spasticus Autisticus in 1982.
When it first came out. Yes, right. It's moved on a bit. Well, there's a good example of how. Yes.
Maybe, possibly. But they. But it was just incredible doing that. It was really weird because we arrived at the stadium about 2:00 in the afternoon, and we weren't allowed to leave. So we literally were there until we went on stage, which was about 11:30 at night. So just before we went on stage to rock out in front of billions of people, we were all yawning. We were shattered. We were like, I'm just so tired. What, fancy a pint now?
Also, anticipation is exciting, not tiring, is it not?
Yeah, of course. It's that energy. It's that constant energy. And I remember just sort of going out there and just feeling the wind of being outside.
That is a bottle of champagne being opened, sir.
It is for us. And it was just the most. You couldn't really see anyone. You just couldn't see anyone. So there it is.
Second bottle, Stephen.
Well, why not? It's Friday. But then. Yeah, it was just the most surreal experience. And I remember after that, all of us, everyone that sort of performed or took part in it, we all just went to the Theatre Royal Stratford East, went to the Theatre Royal Stratford East just to have a pint. And it was just the most wonderful sort of celebration. But every time we performed Reasons, whether it was on tour or whether we did the Paralympics, we thought that was the end. That was the last time that we were going to perform this show. And then every year, Grey Eye would come back to us and say, we're going to do a gig version. So we're going to take the script out and we're just going to perform all of the songs back to back. So we went to Latitude Festival, went to Mexico, Germany, Brazil, which was just the most incredible experience.
A world tour.
Essentially. And then, again, we thought that was it. And then a couple years back, we got a phone call saying they want to bring the show back one last time.
With the narrative.
So the full show, the final version. So 2017, we did an 8-week tour around the UK, and it was the last time. And I injured myself on stage, literally halfway through the run. I was jumping in the air during the final song.
As previously mentioned.
Yep. And as I landed on my foot and sprained my ankle.
Oh no.
Really, really badly. So I spent the next 4 weeks doing the part on crutches.
But that doesn't work against the piece at all, does it?
No, not at all. It worked really well.
Yes.
So in the opening, when I introduced everyone, I just said, last night I had an accident, jumping around, and that's it. And everyone buys into it. There was no issue at all. So
also, I tell you how grounded that is. It's real life because we've all sprained our ankles or stubbed our toes or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so that was it, and that was the last time we did it, and it was just the most incredible 7 years working with these people and working on this particular project. I mean, there's constant talk about it, doing more and having more gigs.
Well, the zeitgeist, in a strange way, demands it. I mean, that takes us back to the Olympics thing again. That, in some senses, I think, really raised a phrase I'm going to use as disability awareness.
Yeah,
it's clumsy. It sounds
no, but you're right.
But and you know the last leg on television came on, which was only envisaged as being a one series shot.
Yes.
Interviewing Paralympians, and then has become a satirical program with a very heavy emphasis on accessibility and disability awareness, let alone everything else. That's a proper groundbreaking television program still going. So, and this musical was surfing that zeitgeist and that awareness and openness. I know there's always going to be negative stories because there are, but you know, I think on the whole, the last decade has been fantastic in that sense for accessibility and awareness. In general sense. So whilst that continues, and long may it do so, then presumably there will always be the occasional call for the show to come back.
Well, this is it, and I think as each year goes by, and not to get too political, but we struggle with politics, and the show is very political in many aspects.
As Ian Dury will expect it.
Well, this is it. But as I say, like, it changed my life in many ways, not just because it was a fun show and we had a great time, but it opened my eyes to accessible theatre that can be accessible and available to everyone.
Well, let us talk where that took us.
There we go.
You know, this is you are a highly successful actor. You've done television, you've done light comedy, you've done musicals, you've done pantomime. You know, lots and lots of different ranges, lots and lots of different forms. The move, not out of that, but to opening the envelope or widening the envelope of what you can do is obviously into theatre creativity, which is what you've done. So tell us about how you've done that. I think we can probably tell the whys, but you know, what has fired you to do this? Well,
I think like a lot of actors, you have those moments where you're not working, you know, those resting periods, and I got really tired of it. I got really bored of not having. Complete cliche, something to do, and not, you know, and having zero control. So 2014, I just started to write a few scenes. A play, or in fact, originally it was a TV script based on my experiences of being in a very terrible indie rock and roll band in my early 20s, and I just sent it to the guy that was in the band with me. I just kept sending him pages of script. And he just thought it was hilarious. He said, "Oh, this is brilliant. Just keep writing some more." So in the end, I wrote this full script about a band who sort of rose to almost sort of stardom, but they just weren't good enough. And also the dynamic between them just wasn't helping. So I thought, how do I do this? How do I put this on? And do I film this? Do I send it to TV companies? But theatre's my passion. Yeah. As much as I've done some TV and done some film, but theatre is where my heart lies. So I decided I'd turn it into a play and be crazy ambitious with it, and bring in live music and projections and video projections and all of that. And so I set up Amplified Theatre Company. And instantly I remember just before I set up the company, I remember it was one Christmas and I was sort of walking around my local area and I just felt totally lost. Did you? Totally lost. I felt really disenchanted with acting. If I'm honest, I got very bored. I felt like it wasn't for me anymore. I felt that it was something else. And I remember watching Gareth Malone, the choir, the TV programme, and this was like a reunion special where we got some people from the school and some people from the army and some people, the army wives. And the various of his series, basically. Yeah, and bring them all together to make some big sort of mega super choir. And I remember watching him, the way he conducted, not just the group, but like conducted himself and the way he led the group. And something, it just lit some kind of like spark in me. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to lead, and I don't mean in a kind of an egotistical way. I think facilitate might be the word. Facilitate, yeah. I wanted to facilitate something, and I just wasn't sure what it was. And I was still writing the play, still scribbling away the play at home. And then I thought, well, I'm going to put it on. I need to have some kind of title, some kind of something for the company. And my ex-girlfriend is Natasha Barnes of Funny Girl. And she was the one who came up with the title. That's the name of the show she was in. Yeah, she was just funny. That's not a review. I mean, she's very funny. But she was the one who came up with Amplified Theatre. I said, I need a name. I need a name for a company. She went, well, what is it? I said, well, the show's got lots of music in it, and it's not a musical. It's a play with songs. And she said, well, it's a mixture of theatre and music. I don't know, maybe Amplified Theatre. I said, right, sold, got it. Also, because it has that second meaning, doesn't it? Which is actually theatre to the max. In a strange way, yes. Amplified, turn it up. So I don't think many people know that. So Natasha, if you are listening, you have your credit. But so I set the company up, roped her in, roped a bunch of my friends in, and it was crazy. It was a 90-minute piece. 12 actors at the Etc. Theatre in Camden,
Okay.
which I don't think even hold 12 actors.
Yes.
So tiny space, lots of live music. And do you know what? It went down really well. But I thought, I've got something here. And it was very similar to, very inspired by, but very similar to Come Dancing and Reasons to be Cheerful, in that it was work that had music in it, that featured music, but it didn't feel like your traditional, conventional musical theatre show.
A narrative enhanced by music?
Yeah.
Or song?
Yeah. So went from there. But the first show we did, the show that I wrote, it was called Unsigned, it wasn't accessible. It wasn't accessible at all. It was above a pub, so wheelchair users couldn't access the space. It wasn't captioned or interpreted. And my very good friend Stephen Collins, who was in Reasons to be Cheerful, who is deaf, he said to me, I'll come and see the show. He said, but can I just read the script beforehand so I know what's going on? So I gave him the script, he read the script, came to see the show. I thought there must be something we can do, because I had all of these digital projections on the screen. I thought, well, that's where I can put the captions on there. So I said to him, Steve, how would I do this? I said, if I used PowerPoint and I just typed up the script and then sort of pressed the space bar and treated it like a slideshow, could I make it accessible? He said, yeah, of course you can. So we sort of went through, sort of worked out what fonts to use and what colour to use, and what size font to use. And now we have this template that we use in every production that we do, where all of our shows...
You ground tested your formatting, essentially?
Yeah, completely.
Sorry, carry on.
So we did. And we said, okay, so we can make these shows accessible. And then I kind of left Amplified for about a year, just, kind of... I thought, okay, I'll get back to it at some point, I'll write something. So I thought, what I'll do, I'll put on like a new writer's night, and then that way I can direct. Because basically at this period, I just didn't trust anyone to direct my baby, as it were. So I said, no, I'm going to do it. So I directed the piece and fell in love with directing. Really fell in love with the Gareth Malone facilitating a company of actors. So I thought, I'm going to direct some more. And I thought, well, I've got a nice acting CV, but I've got a really sort of shallow, very weak director CV. I've got one directing credit, and that's it. So I thought, well, do you know what I'll do? I'll put on a new writer's night. I'll direct them all, and then I've got another 6 there.
Yeah.
Then I
realised you did actually call the night 6, didn't you?
I did,
it's a confusing name now.
I know, we do have to change the title. But then I realised actually directing 6 plays, 1 is very egotistical, and 2, it's just a lot of work. So I shared the responsibility with Stephen Collins and some other directors, and had this new writers' night, which featured a company of disabled and non-disabled actors. It was fully captioned, and it just opened the door. It opened the Amplified Theatre door to a wider audience, which is fantastic. And the 6 plays were inspired by original songs.
And this I find absolutely fabulous. So, oddly, so is Come Dancing. So there are so many themes and links to
Mamma Mia.
Yeah. Oh, well, indeed, yes.
There you go.
You weren't in that, though, were you?
No. I wish. But yeah, so that was it, and I thought, well, how do I do this? I mean, first of all, I remember I put something on Facebook. I put a status and said, are there any writers that would be interested in collaborating? I had no idea what the project would be. Then I put another one out and said, I just want to put music in my work. Music is such a part of me. I need to keep putting it into the work. So I put another status up and said, are there any musicians that would be interested in collaborating? So I got all these messages and all these private Facebook messages saying, I'm interested, what is it? And I didn't have anything. Yeah. So in that moment I said, right, what I'll do, I'll put the writer and I'll put the musician together, and they can just go and make something. And then I thought, actually, that's not a bad idea. If I take a song from every musician, give it to a writer, give them, 3-4 weeks to write a 15-minute short play, there we go. And now that is
Good idea, by the way.
That is our
MO.
That is our process now. That is the Amplified Theatre way of working. And from that, we've had 3 very successful 6 events.
18, as we called it.
Which have gone down really well. With what it's done, it's definitely reached a wider audience. And then what we did last year was I thought, okay, now we need to expand on this and to make longer work, make bigger work. So using the same process, we took 4 songs from 2 different writers, gave them to the playwrights and asked them to create 2 60-minute pieces, but this time featuring the music. Because with 6, I always try to encourage the writers to feature the music into the piece, and they never did.
Oh, right, okay, so it was a starting off point rather than a...
Yeah, it was very much inspiration, and the ones that I directed, I very much put the music in to sort of show people that you can do it.
But that was a directorial choice rather than a playwright choice?
Yes, exactly. So it took a bit of time to... Well, it didn't... I mean, I just kept saying to the writers, please just, include it. And I thought, well, you know what, if I give them the brief to actually... They have to feature the songs in the piece, then
Off
there we have it. Yeah. There we go. So we had a double bill last year. We had one play called Street Magic by Amy Guyler, featuring the music of Jimmy and the Wolf.
I was very sad to hear that Peter had been replaced.
Peter? Oh, the Wolf. Yeah, he wasn't up to scratch. And then we had VE, which is what we're producing and putting on at the King's Head next week. And the both of them, they were between 45 and 60 minutes long, featuring 4 songs each. And they were essentially 2 short musicals or plays with songs. And I feel for the first time with those 2 pieces, we really captured the Amplified Theatre identity, or the vision that I had 4 years ago with the company. I feel like
you've been building and growing and expanding. But everything you've said so far, even just putting people in touch with each other, you've been building a network.
Oh yeah.
It's a wider family as well than just a company, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely. It's most definitely a community.
Now you've climbed the ladder and got to where you are. So tell us about VE.
So VE is a piece written by Felix O'Brien. The music has been inspired by and features music by Nadine Weil-Palmer and Louis Lee. And it's about 2 women that fall in love during World War II. They meet at the Gateways, which was a real place on the King's Road, an underground night spot for women. So while the men were off fighting during the war, our character Betty, her fiancé is fighting in Poland, and she pops into the Gateways to see what it's all about.
To broaden her horizons.
Yes, yep. And her and Ronnie strike up a love affair. And that's as much as I'm going to kind of give you, really. But it's a beautiful piece. It's very funny, very devastating. The music is just superb. We performed it at the Bunker last year, and then we did like an R&D in January just to sort of develop the piece further. And next weekend on the 28th and 29th of July we'll have 2 performances at the King's Head Theatre
in Islington
as part of their queer season. And I'm incredibly proud of it, and I think the actors are incredible, the writing's brilliant, the music's divine. So come along.
Well, I'm delighted that you've invited us to come along. So tell us, what are the best ways of finding out when it's on or keeping in touch with your future productions? Because your company is one of those companies that has its arms flung wide open, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And if its productions, and of course they do, reflect that ethos within the company, then actually I think you are possibly at the forefront. In fact, I can tell you, you're definitely at the forefront of where certainly British urban theatre, if I may use that phrase, is at the moment. And I think that's marvellous, and I hope other people will be as excited by what you're telling me as I am. But how can people see it?
Well, you can visit the King's Head website, which is www.kingsheadtheatre.com. Or you can go onto our website, which is www.amplifiedtheatre.co.uk. But you can follow us on Twitter, which is Amplified Theatre, but get rid of the E at the end.
It's theatre.
Right. Yeah. So, or follow me, StereoSteve86 on Twitter, and then you could just find out all of the stuff from there. But yeah, it's a come along. We have only 2 performances, so don't miss out.
But as a company, you're very active. So if people don't see this, there are other shows coming on, and more 6s or whatever it's going to be called.
Oh yeah, we're working on a version of 6 because we do have to change the title now.
Yeah.
VI.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. 6 2.0. So we're working on some other projects, and we've got some other ideas and plays that we are developing. So yeah, all will be revealed.
Well, Steve, I mean, I know you're old and we see each other periodically anyway, but I hope this isn't the last time we have a chance to speak on the record, because I think everything you've told me today has been absolutely fabulous. It's been a wonderful story that you've told me, and I can see your development as clearly as you can.
Yeah.
And that the fact that you have been willing and wish to open doors for everyone in theatre, in all its broadest senses, musical or otherwise. I think it's one of those things that I think you deserve to be recognised for. I think it makes you a great person, and I'm so glad that greatness is being shared with us all, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No need to think about it. Let's just take the road. Pack it up and pack it in and leave this broken home. You know, if we don't take it, we will only miss our chance. If we don't give our all now, it's never gonna last. Looking back, I never thought that life would move this fast. holding on to you. Come on and put your foot down. I need to gain some speed. There's nothing else I'm taking with me. You are all I need. Just leave the broken pieces. I'd rather just go fast, following the beaten track of other racing hearts. Cause you know if we don't take it, we will only miss our chance. If we don't give our all now, it's never gonna last. Looking back, I never thought that life would move this fast. No. I don't need no evidence, and you won't need no proof. If you can make this promise now, take me with you, take me with you. There's a long way to go, just a long way to go. And I know that I can make it if I'm holding on to you. If I'm holding on to you. If I'm holding on to you.
There we are, another song from VE, topping off a fantastic interview with Stephen Lloyd. A man who has theatre, I think, running through his veins, and a fantastic ethical position on the accessibility of theatre for everyone. And not just in terms of words, absolutely in actions as well. So, let's hear a little more about the show VE by Felix O'Brien. Well, it's on Sunday the 28th of July and Monday the 29th of July at the King's Head Theatre in Islington. For more details, go to the King's Head Theatre website, which is King's Head Theatre, spelt in the British/French way.com, or go to Stephen's own company website, amplifiedtheatre.co.uk. And the show itself, as Stephen has already described, is inspired by and features live music from Nadine Wild-Palmer, and of course is directed by Steve himself. And I think this is a splendid example of putting your money where your mouth is, it says on the website, both performances are captioned. Well, that's enough from me for this week. And so I can either just stop talking and leave us all in a void of silence until you finally realise there's no more material coming at you this week from Musical Talk, or I can bring it to a neat, punctuated ending with a simple word. That word will be understood by all of us as meaning, oh, this has come to an end. So it seems to me at least polite if I try that. All I need to do is stumble upon the very word that would allow that to happen. Oh, I think I know the very word. Fish slice. Actually, no, I know a much better word. Goodbye. There we are. That was better. Goodbye. This episode of Musical Talk edited and presented by Thos Ribbits. Copyright Musical Talk 2019, except for the songs where the copyright remains with the original creators. And my huge thanks to Stephen Lloyd for allowing me to play them in this episode. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk and listen to past episodes, go along to our website www.musicaltalk.co.uk or subscribe to us on iTunes. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, at Musical Talk Thos. I am actually now recording.
Okay.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is just give me your sort of conversational
voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you have for breakfast?
Today I had bran flakes. There was no milk in the house, so I had to pop to Tesco first thing this morning.
You've had an adventure already.
Yes, and I wasn't happy. But once I had my coffee, all was right with the world again.
So the second cup of coffee will take you to bliss, presumably.
This is the coffee I'm going to enjoy, because the first one wakes me up, the second one is the one that I enjoy. Yeah.
Right, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Now the way I do it is there's normally a link, so we'll just go straight into the conversation.
Okay.
If you're happy, the kind of profile, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
The kind of profile I'll go for is I'd like to talk, obviously we've got to latch it to the musicals.
Yeah, of
so
course.
I would actually like to talk about your career and, the big musicals you've
been
in,
in,
Ray
of
Davies
course.
and Ian Dury,
Yeah.
principally. If you're happy talking about
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So then I absolutely want to make the transition to you as theatre maker, and then of course your show coming up, particularly if, the thing I like the accessibility and we must put all of that in, but I do want to talk also about the fact that you think music is an important part of drama outside the world of musicals, and I think that's an absolutely fascinating thing. Are you
definitely.
happy with that as a kind of conversational profile? I've turned my mobile off so it doesn't make beepy noises. Is yours on?
Mine's on silent, but I can turn it off if it...
I don't mind. Whatever you think won't make a noise on here, because
I don't make a noise, that'd be fine.
It won't, by which I mean corrupt it, because the recording go beep, beep, beep.
Let me turn it off.
Aeroplane mode or something like that, perhaps. Or
in fact, I can save the battery anyway. So there we go.
Fine. And the other thing we need to do is I need you, because I don't wear a watch, and nor do you, I see, but we need to keep some kind of idea on the time.
Don't we?
So actually,
I'll turn it on, but put aeroplane on.
And put it in your jacket pocket. Yeah. So it's just that little bit further away. I've only had one recording ruined by a laptop, as it happens, because it was sitting on the desk, and when I got back, all it went meep, meep, meep,
That's
meep.
a nightmare, isn't it? The signals. And you think now, 2019, come on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We can do all these things. We can make our faces look old on an app, but we can't.
No, that happens naturally. You don't need an app for that.
Right, nearly
I've been
there.
living that dream.
God.
Yeah.
It's
You're looking good, if you don't mind.
Thank
saying.
you.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a saucy way.
Oh, you're looking well. No, I do. I had my haircut last week.
Yeah.
Far too short for my liking.
Yeah, but you've got to do it
But-
occasionally.
Yeah, once in a while. But there we go.
And you're still at that stage where it grows back again.
Yes.